세상 너무 gray 매일 밤 회색 하늘이 질려서 딴 데로 가 Why your problem 우린 달라 With a UCD 갱도시를 바꿔요 내 flow so relaxing 환경 울산처럼 가졌어 자연 바다를 가까이에 플루토 뭐 스페이스 on 좁은 방보다 작진 Oh yeah one 함 세워보자 one 도시 가로질러 흘러가는 가도 펼쳐져 있는 자연 모두 알게 될걸 걷고 또 걸어도 발 닿는 데마다 그림이 펼쳐지는 걸 흔한 이야 꿈 회색 도시는 끝더 좋아질 거란 걸 우린 알고 있거든 누가 마다하겠냐고 with a 울산 city boy 너만 몰라본 것 같아 with a king boy
요 이런 도시 없었잖아 지
제2021 한국 의료 웰니스 관광박람회, 의료 웰니스 관광 컨퍼런스에 함께해 주시는 모든 분들 환영합니다. 먼저 인사드리겠습니다. 저는 오늘 이 뜻깊은 자리 진행을 맡은 아나운서 원현정입니다. 2021년도 어느덧 상반기가 지나고 하반기를 바라보고 있습니다. 지난해 모두가 쉽지 않은 한 해를 보냈는데요. 코로나19가 바꾼 새로운 일상에 적응하고 또 끊임없이 노력을 하는 시간이었던 것 같습니다. 많은 것이 변하고 또 달라지고 있는 이 시대에 의료 웰니스에 대해 다시 깨닫고 많은 생각을 해볼 수 있는 기회가 됐던 것 같기도 한데요. 이번 한국 의료 웰니스 박람회는 해외 의료관광 거점, 특화 지사와 국내 의료 그리고 웰니스 기관이 온라인을 통해서 B2B 상담과 홍보를 진행하는 컨퍼런스 재개하고 있습니다. 앞으로의 상황에 대해서 철저하게 준비해야 되는 지금 어떤 노력과 준비를 해야 될지 많은 생각을 하게 됩니다. 이번 의료 웰니스 관광 컨퍼런스를 통해 어느 정도 해답을 찾을 수 있지 않을까 희망하는데요. 비록 모두 현장에서 만나 뵙지는 못하겠지만 국내외 의료 웰니스 발전에 힘써주고 계시는 분들 많이 계십니다. 감사의 말씀을 전하고요. 지금부터 2021 의료 웰니스 관광 컨퍼런스를 본격적으로 시작해 보도록 하겠습니다. 첫 번째 순서로는요, 말레이시아에서 글로벌 의료 관광의 트렌드에 대해 발표를 준비해 주셨다고 합니다. 현장에서 직접 만나 뵙지는 못하지만 영상으로 발표를 준비해 주셨는데요. 이 국경을 초월한 의료 관광 그리고 그 경쟁 전략, 동남아시아를 중심으로라는 주제로 UCSI 대학의 탓후에이 참 부교수님이 발표에 수고해 주시기로 했습니다. 그럼 부교수님을 영상으로 함께 만나보시죠.
Hello everyone, I hope that all of you are well and safe over there. First thing first, I would like to extend my gratitude to the organizing committee of Korea International Travel Expo 2021 for having me here today to share with all of you my presentations entitled Cross-Border Medical Tourism and its Competitive Strategies Evidence from Southeast Asia. My name is Cham Tat Hui and I am the researcher and also lecturer from UCSI University, Malaysia. Okay, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, before we move forward, please allow me to share with you the overview of the global medical tourism. As much as we are concerned, medical and business with health-related products and services is a mega trend in this 21st century. In the early days, we know that patients from the less developed countries often visited developed countries to receive advanced medical treatments. However, this trend begin to reverse whereby we can see that more and more patients from the developed nations traveling to the developing countries seeking for medical treatments while simultaneously engaging in other tourism activities. This trend is known as medical tourism, whereby a person fly out from its own country to receive medical care as well as to enjoy the tourism services. And there are quite numbers of factors that actually stimulate the growth and popularity of medical tourism. Number one would be the increase in cost in the developed countries. Number two would be the long waiting list. Number three would be the deteriorating standards of care. And the next one would be the attractive tourism strategy that used by developing countries in attracting medical tourists to their nations. And when you look at in the statistic itself, according to Medical Tourism Index in 2018, it is stated that medical tourism has enjoyed the growth over year. And it is expected that the industry will continue to grow at the rate of 25% annually and estimated revenue of about USD 3 trillion by the year of 2025. Okay, in this slide, I will share with you the overview of medical tourism, particularly in Southeast Asia region. All right, since the inception of medical tourism, Southeast Asia has shown a promising trend whereby countries like Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore have found to be the key contributors in this sector. The competitive force that drive the growth of medical tourism in Southeast Asia are mostly due to the abilities of the hospital that are able to offer treatments which are cheap, competitive, fast, and more advanced. When we look at the projection given by Patients Beyond Borders, which is the authoritative and reliable source of information for medical tourism, it states very clear that the estimate of average for the saving in Singapore is around 25 to 40%, Thailand is about 50 to 75%, and Malaysia would be about 65 to 80%. Don't worry, I will show you the cost in the subsequent slides. So overall, when it comes to Southeast Asia context, the medical tourism in this region is worth for at least 79 billion in dollars. And the region itself has successfully attracted as many as 4 million medical tourists worldwide in 2019 alone. All right, the most common nationalities who visited Southeast Asia for medical purpose would be countries within the intra-Southeast Asia, China, Japan, USA, Australia, European countries, United Kingdoms, and etc. etc. All right, this slide is basically the members of country within the Southeast Asia region, or we call it Asian countries. In Southeast Asia, we have countries like Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Timor-Leste, Brunei, Singapore, Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. Among all the countries within the Southeast Asia region, there are 3 countries which are very active as far as medical tourism is concerned, which is Thailand, Malaysia, and also Singapore. And all these countries have successfully put themselves in the global map as far as medical tourism is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, in this slide, I'm going to share with you the comparison of medical charges across the country that participated in medical tourism. As far as we're concerned, when it comes to Southeast Asia region, we are actually represented by Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. As Patients Beyond Borders mentioned it very clear, the average saving in the Southeast Asia regions is significant if compared to other nations. For instance, if let's say we look at one of the common medical procedures such as coronary artery bypass graft, you need to pay about $92,000 for such treatment in United States, whereas you only need to pay around $21,000 in Malaysia. Singapore is about $55,000 and Thailand is about $33,000. Besides that, when you look at another procedure such as valve replacement with bypass, in United States itself, you need to pay as much as $87,000 for such treatment. But in Malaysia, you only need to pay about $15,000. Singapore is about $46,000 and Thailand is about $19,000. This indicates that how competitive Southeast Asia region is when it comes to medical charges, particularly related to medical tourism. Okay, in these sections, I'm going to share with you what would be the factors that attract medical tourists to Southeast Asia region. As far as medical tourism is concerned, there are several prominent reasons that make medical tourism successful in Southeast Asia. First thing first is the quality of medical services. Hospitals in Southeast Asia have always emphasized on this aspect through accreditations by the authoritative bodies in the medical world. Apart from that, hospitals in Southeast Asia also possess number of renowned expertise and engaging with state-of-art medical facilities like developed nation. This allows them to perform a difficult surgery. All right. Another factors that drive medical tourists to Southeast Asia is also the competitive pricing that I shared with all of you earlier. So apart from the medical service provision as well as the pricing, another competitive advantage that made Southeast Asia to be attractive is because of the location itself. When as far as the tourism is concerned, we know that Southeast Asia is strategically located right between the Western and also the Eastern world. So this will definitely make Southeast Asia to be one of the outstanding locations to attract tourists to visit this region for medical purpose at the same time enjoying the tourism services. Apart from that, there are also numbers of the traveling intermediaries available for the medical tourism. Okay, for instance, some of the hospitals in Southeast Asia, you won't be surprised that there are actually the translator teams within the hospital to help out with the medical tourists in case they are not able to speak the language of the country. Apart from that, there are quite numbers of major employers and insurance companies throughout the world, in fact, endorse the medical provisions from Southeast Asia region. This is also one of the reasons why there are so many medical tourists travel from the Western world to Southeast Asia for medical purpose. In this slide, I'm going to share with you the significant players that take part in medical tourism in the Southeast Asia region. These figures show that the countries that involve in medical tourism in the Asia context. We have Dubai, we have India, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and also South Korea. All these countries are basically compete with one another for the disposable income of the medical tourists. Among all the countries that we highlighted over here, but now I only will focus on the Southeast Asia region, which is Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. For Singapore, in 2018 itself, the country successfully made a profit of 78.42 million in terms of the receipt. And this country successfully attracted as many as 50,000 of the medical tourists to the country for medical purpose. When we look at the focus markets of Singapore, they usually will focus on medical tourists from Malaysia, Indonesia, and China. And the top treatments that they have would be usually focused on the high-end specialty care, for instance, like cardiology, neurology, diagnostic treatments. So the competitive attributes of Singapore is simply because they are the developed nations with advanced infrastructure. That's number one. Number two is they showcases medical innovation. And as far as we're concerned, that Singapore is very well known when it comes to all these medical innovations. As much as the record is concerned, they are one of the best countries that specialize in the cardiac and cancer treatments, or we call it cardiology and oncology. So in Singapore itself, they have about 5 JCI accredited hospitals, and the whole entire initiative drive under the medical tourism is well supported by the governments under the purview of Singapore Tourism Board. As far as Thailand is concerned, we can see that the country has successfully made a profit of USD 1.4 billion and extracted about 2.4 million medical tourists in 2018 alone. These numbers is a very promising one as far as the medical tourism is concerned. So the focus markets for Thailand would be medical tourists from Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam, China, Japan, Middle East, and also from the European countries. The top treatments offered by Thailand includes cosmetic surgery, cosmetic dentistry, LASIK surgery, and other major surgery itself. When we look at the competitive attributes of Thailand, Thailand is well known because of the nature of the country itself, based mostly focused on tourism. So in Thailand, we have about 59 JCI accredited hospitals. These numbers is simply amazing. And besides that, the government-led programs, for example, such as Friendly Visa Program, and also the government-to-government collaboration is also one of the competitive force that the Thailand's government have in order for them to attract medical tourists to their country for medical purpose. As for Malaysia, this country has successfully made a profit of 360 million USD and has successfully attracted as many as 1.5 million medical tourists in 2018 alone. When you look at the focus markets of Malaysia, it consists of medical tourists from Indonesia, India, China, Middle East, Japan, and Australia. The top treatments that offered by Malaysia includes comprehensive health screening, cosmetic surgery, fertility treatments, cancer treatment, dental treatments, orthopedic surgeries, and other major surgery as well. The competitive attributes of Malaysia includes of the nature of the country itself. As far as we know that Malaysia is known as a Muslim-friendly destination. That is the reason why Malaysia has been so successful in attracting medical tourists from the Middle Eastern country. So apart from that, Malaysia also have about 17 JCI accredited hospitals, and the government is very active when it comes to visa programs as well as the government-to-government collaborations. Alright, so the whole entire initiative for medical tourism in Malaysia is well supported by one of the prominent agency known as MHTC, or it stands for Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council. And this body is the one who are given the authority to look after the entire industry as far as the medical tourism is concerned. In this section, I'm going to share with you the competitive strategies that can be considered by the medical tourism destination. As from the government point of view, a country needs to consider a visa-friendly procedure for medical tourists. As much as we know as a tourist ourselves, we will not go to a country that gives us a hassle, especially when it comes to visa application. On another part of it, the country must consider the importance of the good governance. As much as the medical healthcare is concerned, it will definitely involve risk. Therefore, government need to set a legal or law to protect the right of the medical tourists. So this will definitely help the country to build its reputation as far as the medical tourism is concerned. Apart from that, the government, they themselves must also look into the importance of security as well as the accessibility. This is very important as according to the tourism literature, both of these factors, particularly security and accessibility, plays a very important role in attracting tourists to visit a certain destination. Apart from that, government can also consider to set up a representative office in the prospective countries. For example, in Malaysia, Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council (MHTC) has its own office both in China and Indonesia to segregate or disseminate information to the prospective medical tourists. Apart from that, the government must have a close link or collaborations with its own stakeholders, particularly its own agency as well as the hospital that participated in the medical tourism. This is very important because it will help the industry to grow further in the right pace. Apart from that, the government also can consider to establish one-stop center that houses all the information related to medical tourism. For instance, in Malaysia, our MHTC play a very important role as the one-stop center to disseminate knowledge and information about medical tourism to all the prospective medical tourists throughout the world. And last but not least, government must also take a look into the importance of having more medical conferences, tourism exhibitions, and forums related to medical and also healthcare and wellness tourism in order to promote this industry not only to the intra-Asian country but it's also outside the whole entire world. Okay, as for the medical service providers' point of view, it is recommended that the hospital that participated in this industry to emphasize on the importance of social media and advertisement usage, because according to my very own research, I found out that social media play a very important role in influencing medical tourist decision making. Apart from that, medical service providers must also look into the importance of brand management practices. This is very important because most of the medical tourists depends a lot on the brand of the hospitals before they make a final decisions whether to visit or not to visit a certain destination. Apart from that, hospitals must also maintain a close collaborations with government agency. This is very important in a sense that if we have a close collaborations across the stakeholders, it will help both parties to reach the market in a very effective and efficient manner. In addition, hospitals must also maintain and continuously improve their medical and service excellence. This is very important because most of the medical tourists will actually look at your reputations before they decide to come to your hospital for medical purpose. And apart from that, hospitals can also consider to set up their representative office in overseas. For instance, countries like Thailand, Singapore, and Malaysia, most of the hospitals that participated in medical tourism, they will have their own representative office in all the prospective countries. Apart from that, hospitals must also look into the importance of technology. In the current digital world, we must use the technologies to help us to make better decisions and better serve our customers. So therefore, when it comes to the technology usage, we must stay upfront and we must make use of it in order for us to outshine our competitors. When it comes to medical charges, it is recommended for the medical service provider to charge affordable price because as far as we concerned, when we look at the past studies itself, it is well projected that cost itself play a very important role in influencing one's particularly medical tourist decisions whether to visit a destination or vice versa. Last but not least, the hospitals must also consider to have a partnerships with other supporting members in the industry. This includes the tourism agency within the countries, and this is very helpful, especially when you want to have a very smooth process in bringing the medical tourists to your countries and to your hospital directly. The process must be maintained easy so that the medical tourists will not feel difficult or they will not experience any hassle in between the process. Okay, in this slides, I will be sharing with you the recommendations for the Korean medical service provider. It is recommended for the hospital to consider to diversify their existing product offering. Simply because based on my research, most of the medical tourists perceive that Korea is only good when it comes to cosmetic surgery. So therefore, it is recommended for the hospital to promote other types of medical treatments besides cosmetic surgery itself. So the use of marketing communication approach must be emphasized on this particular matter. The second part would be to continuously active in marketing communication. Like what I said earlier, the use of social media advertisements play a very important role to promote the name of the destination, particularly Korea, to the global medical tourists. Apart from that, Korea has been very well known, especially when it comes to the culture aspect itself. So please use this as your competitive tool. You can actually promote the Korean branding because a lot of customers, a lot of medical tourists in Southeast Asia, they know Korea very well. So why not tap into the advantage of the branding itself? Apart from that, promote more medical research and development. This is very important because it will promote the country's reputations, particularly when it comes to medical success story. All right. Apart from that, to continuously host more and more medical conferences and also tourism exhibition. This is very important for a country to promote themselves or to stay visible in the eyes of the tourists. In our case here would be medical tourists. In this section, I will be sharing with you the future outlook and prospect of medical tourism. Okay, given the present revenue and patients volume performance in Southeast Asia, the future is indeed promising for this region. The similar trend also observed in the global medical tourism context, whereby it is expected all the demand from the industry will shoot up right after the COVID-19 pandemic. I strongly believe that right after the pandemic subsides, a lot of patients will seek medical treatment outside their home country, okay, for medical purpose. The next point that I would like to make here would be the expected growth for the wellness sector as well. As much as we know that during COVID-19, most of us are affected because of the travel restrictions. Therefore, I anticipate that there will be a lot of tourists will take this opportunity to go for vacations at the same time to enjoy the wellness part, when it comes to the health maintenance. Apart from that, Asian country is expected to enjoy growth. This is a very good news to us simply because we are charging lower medical charges and also we have medical expertise with us. So definitely we will be a very strong competitors to other countries in the Western context. Last but not least, the point that I would like to make here is, however, the industry that we are currently looking into will still be very competitive simply because due to the rising demands and also numbers of players within the industry. Therefore, all the countries that take place or participated in medical tourism must be proactive and in order to make themselves visible and outstanding compared to the competitors in order for them to stay relevant and well known in the eyes of the medical tourists. Okay, thank you so much for your attention and I would like to extend my gratitude to Korea International Travel Expo 2021 for having me here today. So I wish you all the best in everything that you all pursue. Please take care of yourselves, stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
네, 말레이시아에서 준비해 주신 발표 정말 잘 들었습니다. 바로 다음 순서로 넘어가 볼 텐데요. 다음 순서는 글로벌 의료 관광 향후 전망이라는 주제로 이번에는 인도에서 준비를 해주셨습니다. 닥터 프렘의 대표이신 프렘 자기아시 박사님께서 발표 준비 중이신데요. 영상으로 함께 만나보시죠.
So, we are going to discuss about the medical tourism future trends, especially after the COVID crisis. Today's discussion mainly is going to be around that what is the impact of the current crisis on medical tourism industry, and if there is a massive impact, what are going to be the short-term and long-term objectives and strategies of medical tourism industry, and how the future trends will evolve in general. We will discuss today more in detail about overall impact of the crisis and what are the new future trends of medical tourism. First and foremost, the challenging time is going to stay here. I guess easily till 2025. We don't know what is next going to happen, what kind of wave is going to happen, what are going to be the crisis going to happen, but in any case, the business recovery is not going to be very fast. However, that does not mean that medical tourism will not grow. That does not mean that there is no demand of medical tourism. In fact, if you look at the current situation, you will realize that medical tourism will grow faster than ever. Why? Because there are massive medical tourism demand, and these demand will grow as soon as the travel start. The travel and tourism is on hold, but medical tourism is not on hold. There is probably over 50 to 70 billion dollar of business is on hold only with the impact of the COVID which we have seen. In fact, some of the research done by WEF and WHO suggests that more than 38% global cancer surgery were postponed or cancelled in just first few months of COVID. Every extra week of lockdown or disruption associates with 2.4 million cancellation of elective surgical procedures. Pandemic has impacted 49% for treatment for diabetes, 42% for cancer treatment, and 31% of cardiovascular emergency. In fact, WHO did a report also that around 80 to 90% of healthcare staff who were not working with the NCD area, non-communicable disorders area, they were also brought in to deal with the COVID cases. So in reality, patients are waiting for travel to be over. So there is no halt on medical tourism as such. Medical tourism is still growing. Demands are growing. Needs are growing. But because the travel and tourism halt, the medical tourism look on the halt. Let's have a look on how this entire medical tourism, halt, current COVID crisis, going to shape the entire structure of medical tourism. What we saw in the past never happened actually. We thought initially that medical tourism is going to be the global industry for every single hospital, but it became kind of regional industry. So those initial evaluation, they never stood. And now we are seeing also the current dynamism has changed. So today I'm going to discuss about the future trends, especially post-COVID area. The first and foremost, the one trend which comes on top of my mind, and I think this trend is going to stay here, is the integration of medical tourism, global healthcare and wellness tourism. More patients will look for curative, wellness, alternative, integrative and complementary solution. The reason why that we have seen that COVID has made everyone realize the value of their health and wellness, and patients do understand the importance of their current situation. And while they are going for medical tourism, they would like to get engaged into the wellness activity. They might want to go into meditation, yoga, or they might want to relax after knee replacement. If they have to wait for 7 days or 10 days treatment, they would prefer to wait at a wellness resort where they can continue to monitor their healthcare condition. Also, we will see there will be true globalization of healthcare. So these three industry, medical tourism, we know it is somewhere around 60 to 80 to $100 billion industry. We do not have an exact figure at this moment. Wellness tourism also is a massive industry. Somewhere it has been believed to 700 to $800 billion industry, and global healthcare is already in trillions of dollars of industry. They will form together more evolved medical tourism industry. What we are going to see that more wellness will be integrated in medical setups, and more medical will be integrated into wellness setup. To give you an example, hospitals might have a wellness department, meditation department, alternative medicine department, mental wellness department, while wellness resort might have a medical clinic at the resort. So that kind of integration we are going to see in hotel, in hospitality area, in resorts, retreats, clinics, centers, and all kind of hospitals. The point over here is that the merger of medical and wellness tourism will actually facilitate lots of medical tourism expertise, and they will combine and bring holistic well-being together. And that's why the future is an integration of medical and wellness tourism. Now, most important trend and second trend, this is a beautiful idea that initially thought that medical tourism going to be a global industry. Then we thought it's probably going to be a regional industry. So Asian patient would probably prefer to travel within Asia. The European patient will probably go to Eastern Europe, and the US patient, American patient probably will go to Latin America, South America. So it was not a global industry as such. We thought that US patient will not travel all the way to Malaysia, India and Thailand a lot, and we saw probably just 5, 7, 10% of such patients traveling. But with the dynamism of medical tourism, we are also seeing that it is not global also. More dynamism means more flexible industry will become. At this moment, while African patient cannot travel to India, we have hundreds and thousands of patient inquiries where African patients are seeking healthcare in Turkey, in Jordan, in Middle East, or any country which is accepting patient, because India is not accepting lots of patients, and so do Thailand and Malaysia. But we are seeing that trends are changing. Trends are becoming dynamic, and similarly, Korea will open up door for US patient, Korea will open up door for Middle Eastern patient, and Korea will open up door for even patient around neighboring Asian countries also. So the industry is going to be more dynamic. It is neither going to be local, regional or global, but it will follow a dynamic trends for next couple of months. Safe travel is the future. Safety protocols will remain prime consideration, be it a tourist or traveler or a user, be it a hospital or be it even a destination. Hospitals will follow more protocols and look for the safety of their own staff and safety and well-being of everyone. Patient will also look into the hospitals who are following good protocols, and they will also look into the safety and security. While governments also will look into the vaccination of the patient who are coming to the country, whether they are certified, vaccination is there, and what kind of country they are coming for. So the visa arrangement in medical might remain little dynamic and little flexible in coming time. One more new trend we are going to see in medical tourism, and that is advanced level of matchmaking. AI-driven matchmaking services to see higher demand due to rising complexity in medical tourism. We all know that medical tourism is very complex, and patient will look for the best fit option covering all their specific requirement. Now, usually in recent past, patient was traveling whatever easy destination was available, whatever quicker hospital was available. But now there will be more advanced matchmaking, especially with artificial intelligence coming into the picture. The tools and technologies are developed. Now the tools and technology are even sophisticated to support us, that if the patient is from Africa, tools are suggesting in which country patient should go, which hospital should go. If the patient need complex heart surgery, complex cancer treatment surgery, the advanced AI matchmaking is now providing those solutions. So AI matchmaking will work on healthcare condition, quality and success rates, what kind of travel and visa arrangements are there, what kind of tourism openness is there, the hygiene, safety and security of the patient, and kind of support services, and eventually the kind of wellness and well-being is provided. So advanced AI tool will select a beautiful matchmaking system. One more important trend which we are noticing nowadays is called pre-arrangement of medical tourism. You see, the previously patients were actually just traveling for the medical treatment, but now they are very concerned. They are concerned about pre-evaluation of their own condition. They are concerned about vaccine certification. They are concerned about how long they are going to go and stay there. Do they have to quarantine? Whether the appointments are available? What the entire smoothness of the project, the swiftness of the project is very important in the pre-arrangement of medical tourism. And post-COVID area, we have seen more and more patients are looking into more pre-arrangement in medical tourism. Then after pre-arrangement, the post-operative arrangement has become even more vital. Tech-driven post-operative care will play a very important role in the medical tourism industry. We saw that it was very easy for patient to travel back in the destination country for post-operative care after 15 days, 1 month. They were making a double trip, meeting with the hospital, doing the preventive and post-operative care. But that is not going to happen. What is going to happen is more of a hybrid mode of post-operative care, where the telemedicines and online services and post-operative care partners are going to play a very important role. Let me explain how. So patient will seek more and more telemedicine solutions. So they will be in touch with the doctor for telemedicine activity. All the patient's vitals and regular symptoms and regular updated will be monitored using very sophisticated online tools. And in fact, we have developed a beautiful patient management software for medical tourism industry, and we have already implemented all these options about online services so that hospital or doctor can easily communicate with the patient. There is one more evolving area, which is the post-operative care partner. What has happened that after COVID, when the travel and tourism is so restricted, hospitals are looking for post-operative care partner for the patient in their destination market. For example, if Korea is getting patient from US or Middle East, So now Korean hospitals are doing tie-up with the other US hospitals or Middle Eastern hospitals to do the post-operative care services for their patient. And it is important because it is not that easy for patient to travel back now. It is not that easy. It is not that open travel structure. So patient cannot travel very fast and regularly. And that's the reason if you are providing treatment to patient in Africa or in Europe, you do need some hospital who provide continuum of care in their destination country. So you need partner. In fact, partners are my next important trend as well. Partnership will play a very important role in medical tourism industry, far bigger than what has happened in the past. So if you want to develop a medical tourism business, if you are a hospital or a facilitator or a travel agent or even a concierge services, you just cannot do without proper partnership. For a patient, you need comprehensive services within one destination. So patient now do not have a time to go to a separate travel portal to communicate separate transport or concierge services, or to look into separate technology partner to upload their document, or maybe talk with the online interpreter. So they want everything together at one place. And we know traditionally hospital really can't do everything. It's not possible for hospital to provide all kind of travel and concierge arrangement. So they somehow would need travel agents and they would need facilitators. And we also know that facilitator alone can't do everything. So they would need technology partners like a telemedicine solution providers and interpreters. So basically, the entire game of medical tourism will depend on beautiful partnership structure. And that is going to open up a beautiful trend. Now we understood, okay, that the dynamism of medical tourism. We also understand that post-operative care and pre-operative care are going to change, and we understood the matchmaking is going to bring the new trends and dynamic. We also understood that the globalization of medical tourism is going to change, and we also understand the integrate of medical tourism. But point is how hospital and facilitator should be ready to deal with these crises and how they can actually capitalize on post-COVID boost and what they should do during the COVID period. So what are the key strategies? So let's talk about the key future strategies. First and foremost, just because right now we do not have lots of patient traveling, you should not stop doing marketing or branding activities. In fact, at this moment, advertisements are giving high return on the investment. At this moment, if you build your brand, you will have a much more better value. Post-COVID period, everyone going to have a huge budget. Everyone is going to invest lots of money in marketing, and there will be a very small inquiry coming later on. This is a perfect time to engage and do advertisement, marketing, branding activities. This is perfect time to build brand. We as Dr. Prem and Associate are still doing those training activities. We are doing still webinars and we are providing so much information. We still have hundreds of patient inquiries which we are giving to hospitals and facilitator. Reason why we are doing because we want them to be ready for the future of medical tourism. So if you want to be a big player in medical tourism, don't halt your medical tourism marketing and branding. Slow down? Yes. Reduce expenses? Yes. Optimize your policies in marketing? Yes. But do not completely close down. Second thing is, there is a need of humanizing communication. What is a humanization of communication? Human approach to communication that talks about patient's needs, patient's flexibility, and patient's actual requirement, demand, and being sympathetic with patient. I am handling at this moment thousands of patient inquiries. Even pre-COVID period, we had huge amount of inquiries which we were giving to hospitals and facilitators. No patient comes to us and tell us that, hey, Dr. Prem, here is $2,000. I want to give it to facilitator. Here is $20,000 money. I want to give the hospital. Their inquiry is purely, I'm suffering from so and so condition. I don't have treatment in my home country. I'm really looking for a solution. Dr. Prem, please help me, provide me some solution on. So when you communicate with patients like that, you have to have that human approach. First, sympathize with them, show some empathy, understand their exact needs, understand their exact demand, understand what they are looking for. Of course, you as a medical tourism business partner are in a business and you eventually want to generate revenue and profit. But the need of ours is to communicate with the humanization, with the human approach in mind. And at this moment, when the COVID is there, everyone is uncertain. They have no idea about their travel arrangement. They have no idea about what kind of vaccination is accepted, what kind of certificate is accepted. So as soon as you get inquiry, show beautiful human approach to the inquiry. Build relationship. This is the time to build relationship with the patients, with the other facilitator, with other partner. This is a perfect time to build that kind of approach. Next strategy is to build that patient experience. Post-COVID area, anyone who's going to travel for medical tourism, he's going to make a significant effort for medical tourism. So to develop a patient's experience, I'm just giving you 3 simple ideas. First, understand things from patient's perspective, number 1. Number 2, resolve the pain point and the issues of the patient. They have those stated need and unstated need. Understand them and resolve them. In fact, resolve them before even arise, because they do not know what to talk, what to seek from you, but you as an expert probably know better. And third is understand and deliver unmedical experience for the patient. Let me explain you one by one. Understanding patient perspective means a patient is a patient. He might be paying you money eventually, but he needs he's seeking care, he's seeking treatment, he's seeking empathy, he's seeking comfortable environment. He doesn't want to hustle around, he doesn't want to run around, he doesn't want to see complication. So you need to understand all those unstated needs of those patients to provide them care. There are lots of issues of patient, like document exchange, how they should do, what they will do in post-operative arrangement, how those issues will be resolved. Those are very important points, and you need to understand in advance and provide solution for that. Eventually, provide them unmedical experience. Even though if you are coming for the medical treatment, treat them with amazing food plan, which is, diet plan, which is so delicious. If a patient coming from Middle East, give them a halal food, give them a place to enjoy that non-medical experience, and give them place for prayer, give them a comfortable environment where they can continue their Islamic practices. These are very important for the entire patient experience and patient activities. Next strategy is that if you want to make business run, by the way, at this time, you have to make more feasible, efficient, and result-oriented strategies. What are feasible, result-oriented strategy? At this moment, you can't spend lots of money because you don't have a huge business. So return on the investment has to be in mind, but you have to have a short-term and long-term goal. You have to make at this moment more sustainable and lean marketing strategies. What are lean marketing strategies? Lean marketing strategies that focus on what is producing result at this moment. Don't try to do things just to experience. Don't try to do things which is experiment in general. So at this moment, focus on non-wasting, purely lean area. And yes, one very important strategy which you have to do is fine-tune your products and offering. How do I fine-tune right now? You see, you have to make a flexible arrangement for the patient, because you know that COVID is uncertain, the current situation uncertain. So you have to be proactive and tell them that you're ready to do those arrangements if the patient require. So at this moment, provide them flexible. If you can provide some reasonable payment options, give them those payment options. So you have to fine tune your product based on the current situation. One more strategy which is working beautiful at this moment is your content marketing strategy. Focus on the content which is empathetic, which is value, which is offering some benefit. So you can't do a huge amount of advertisement, but if you do a good content marketing, your reach out will be brilliant. We are doing exceptional content marketing. If you get a chance, look at our YouTube videos, our social media presence, our LinkedIn newsletter. Every week we share incredible newsletter on LinkedIn, on medical tourism, on wellness tourism, on global healthcare, and these are incredible ideas to adopt in your business as well. One more beautiful thing happening, especially for wellness tourism, is that now wellness industry is proposing annual packages. So a patient is coming to you for medical treatment, let's say they have come for knee replacement, and even if they have come for, let's say, for 2 months or 1 month of treatment, you can even give them an annual package of care, which means you tell them that after 2 months you can even continue getting feedback from our doctor, treatment from our doctor, and continuous treatment will also be provided. A last point, which I believe is a beautiful point, that future of medical tourism is an actual globalization of healthcare, where it's not only the patient traveling abroad, but even the hospital will travel abroad. So you need to get ready right now for future of medical tourism as well. So let me quickly summarize everything that I discussed with you. The medical tourism impact, crisis impact is quite evident. $50 to $70 billion of business is on hold, but the medical tourism demand hasn't shortened. Travel is on halt, but medical tourism is not. Medical tourism will bounce back. There are millions of patients are waiting for medical tourism treatment. We will see the integration of medical tourism, global healthcare and wellness tourism industry happening together, and medical tourism will be more dynamic. It will not only be global or just a regional or local, and patient will look for safety, and matchmaking will play a very important role. Pre-operative care and post-operative care will be redefined. Redefined means it will have a highly advanced technology and meaning, and partnership will be key, and some of the strategies which I discussed, those will be important. Thank you very much for listening to me, and thank you Korea Medical Tourism team for inviting me for this presentation. I will be happy to answer your questions on my personal channel. Please feel free to write to me. There is an email address on my presentation, and you can easily find me on social media channels including LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Feel free to write me. I would be delighted to help you and support you to grow. Thank you.
네, 인도에서 준비해 주신 발표 잘 들었습니다. 이렇게 글로벌 의료 관광의 트렌드에 대해서 영상으로 만나봤는데요. 직접 만나 뵙지는 못하지만 영상으로 쉽게 설명을 해주셔서 이해가 쉽게 되는 발표였습니다. 다음은 글로벌 웰니스 관광 트렌드에 대해서 호주에서 준비를 해주셨다고 합니다. 글로벌 웰니스 관광 동향과 기회를 주제로 글로벌 웰니스 연구소의 캐트린 드로가 의장님께서 발표를 해주신다고 합니다. 그러면 의장님을 영상으로 함께 만나보겠습니다.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join your conference today, all the way from Sydney, Australia. My name is Catherine Droger, and I chair the Global Wellness Institute's Wellness Tourism Initiative. That is, the Global Wellness Institute is a not-for-profit whose mission is to empower wellness worldwide through research and trends and insights. My role there, as I chair a particular initiative called the Wellness Tourism Initiative, is to focus on consumer trends and insights in the space of wellness travel. So today, what I wanted to take you through was a couple of things. The first was just to share with you some definitions that we use at the Global Wellness Institute We're also the size of the market, the target audience, then talk to you briefly about COVID's impact in wellness travel, and finally the bulk of the presentation is around global trends that we're seeing. So to kick off first, I'll just run you through, I'll just turn my slides on, the definitions and value of wellness travel. So the Global Wellness Institute defines wellness travel as travel that enhances, maintains or kickstarts your well-being while you're on a trip. And when we talk about the well-being, we mean somebody's physical, mental and social well-being. So physical well-being is not just about the absence of disease, but really how you can create a proactive approach to physical well-being in your body. Mental well-being is very much focused on the resilience to cope in difficult times and how to build that strength and positivity. And social well-being really focuses on that social community connectedness and our relationships with others, and how making a positive contribution to society helps our well-being from a social perspective. The value of the sector, I've put up a slide now which really shows you how much the sector's worth. This is from 2017, and the Global Wellness Institute will be releasing the new market values in November this year, but it gives you a good indication of just how big this sector is at $639 billion just for wellness travel. There was recently a McKinsey report that was released last month, which forecast wellness travel to grow another 5 to 10% in the 12 months coming. If we now talk specifically about the target audiences and how do we define the wellness traveller, the Global Wellness Institute defines the wellness traveller in two ways. The first is a primary wellness traveller, and their main motivation and purpose of their trip is really their well-being. So it defines where they go, the destination, the accommodation, and what they do entirely is focused on their well-being. The second group is called the secondary wellness traveller, and this group are more adding a wellness experience to an existing holiday or business trip. And that could be adding a cycle experience, adding a massage, adding a walk, going to the gym, eating healthy food, those sorts of things. When we look at the size of the spend between the primary and the secondary wellness traveller, we can see that the primary wellness traveller is the smaller group, representing 11% of the trips, but 14% of the spend, so a little bit more high yielding. The secondary wellness traveller is that group that's adding wellness onto a regular trip or a regular holiday, and that represents the bulk of the dollars in the sector. It represents 89% of the trips and 86% of the spend. We talk about wellness travellers being high yielding, and I'm sure many of you in the industry know this already, but the data that we have shows that international wellness travellers are 53% more higher yielding or spend more than regular international travellers. And domestic wellness travellers spend 178% more than standard domestic travellers. So really great opportunities during COVID in the domestic space for wellness. We have 5 reasons that we've put up here on our slide now of why wellness travellers are a great target or a great opportunity for your business. The first that we've already covered is that they're high yielding. The second is that they're a very sustainable segment. They like to tread lightly. They like to connect with local communities and respect the community and respect the local environment. So a great visitor group to come to your area. They also like to travel out of season, which helps manage seasonality flows for a destination or a business. If we're specifically talking about the primary wellness traveller, they're also longer staying. So usually they stay a minimum of 5 to 7 nights on an immersive retreat, and they have a higher revenue per available room in terms of the yield from that room, because they're often sold as a per person rate to a retreat. Now I'd like to go through just some of the top countries at the moment who are huge in wellness travel. So great. This again will be updated in November and perhaps may shift a little bit in that time. But we saw pre-COVID that the US was the #1 market for inbound into the USA, but also Americans traveling out on wellness trips. They were number 1. Number 2 was Germany, and then China, France, and Japan. And those 5 groups made up 59% of the total spend. If we take a deep dive on Korea, we can see that you guys are ranked 16th at the moment in terms of visitor expenditure globally, and that was 7.2 billion you were spending pre-COVID on wellness, and 90% of that was from your domestic market. Again, very great for you in terms of that opportunity locally at the moment, and that was 19.6 million trips. This will be updated in November, so keep a lookout on the Global Wellness Institute's website for the latest release. Now we'd like to take a little bit of focus on the COVID impact on wellness and some of the research that I led during COVID, some of the bigger lockdowns last year, where we asked consumers in 80 countries around the world what they felt around the impact of COVID on wellness travel. And again, this was the silver lining, really. This is the positive story that has come out of COVID for travel, which I know all of you in the room would be relating to. So firstly, we asked their priority for wellness. And the question was, when the majority of COVID restrictions lift, will your intention to focus on your own wellness and well-being increase? And 56% of people said it definitely will, which is quite significant. No surprises there when you think about the global pandemic and the impact it's had on our physical as well as our financial and social stress. So well-being is really a huge priority. What we also found interesting was that 24% of our respondents had participated in new wellbeing experiences during that COVID lockdown. So people were really reaching out to try new things. We also asked people their intention for would they take more wellness travel trips when restrictions lifted, and 42% of people said absolutely, we are intending to take more wellness trips as restrictions lift. So again, a positive for all of us in the industry. We also asked what's the main reason that you take wellness travel, and this changed before COVID hit and after. So post-COVID, no surprises, the number 1 motivation or reason why people are taking more wellness travel or wanting to take it is to de-stress and relax. So really important when you think about your communication as well as your treatment. This is a high need for the customer. Then it was maintaining my well-being, improving my well-being, rebooting or kickstarting my well-being, focusing on wanting more adventure, given that people had been in lockdown, or focusing on fitness. And as I mentioned, these rankings changed post-COVID. So people were more about rebooting and kickstarting their well-being rather than just de-stress and relax. So that's been the real shift. The next slide focuses on the top 6 wellness expectations that visitors have when they take a wellness trip. And undoubtedly, 72% of respondents said that it's all about a connection to nature. This was significantly higher than anything else and was consistent across all markets. So what we see is that connection to nature, however they get it, is really important. The second was quality, fresh local produce and food, outdoor activities, accommodations, spa experiences. And what we found interesting was the rising increase in demand for sustainable choices in wellness travel. Now I'd like to shift on to the second part of the presentation, which is sharing what we see as some of the global trends out in the market with consumers at the moment. You may already be seeing these in Korea and adjusting to them. Perhaps there's a couple that you see as an opportunity that perhaps you haven't thought about. So the first one that we're seeing is really a large macro one, and I think Korea is really embracing this. This is country-led wellness. This is wellness initiatives and investment for both communities, local communities and travellers coming from the country level or the government. And what that leads to is confidence from investors to also invest in private sector investment in this space. Singapore's a great example where we've seen the government invest in a new wellbeing app that's available for local community and travellers. It's a partnership between Apple and Lumi Health until 2022, so a great example. And I know that Korea has always been in the wellness space, but I think your perceptions and your interest from international visitors in this space will absolutely increase as border restrictions continue to lift. The second global trend is what we're terming regenerative wellness travel. This is travel that obviously is purpose-driven, that it helps your own well-being when you take the trip, but really the focus is contributing to a better experience for local communities and the environment as a result of the operator and you taking this trip. So how are individual businesses thinking about creating wellness experiences that help local communities give back to the environment? I know I work with a lot of wellness operators in Sri Lanka, and often some of them have environmental projects that they do that they're very proud of in terms of mangrove planting and coral regeneration projects that travellers can contribute and enjoy to, or local community supports that they are actively involved in and they share with the guests as well. So it's a little bit of a shift away from just sustainability, which is about how do you maintain the environment and the community and culture that you have while running a successful business. Regenerative is how do you leave a place better than when you started. So what we're seeing is a big shift by countries to move away from mass tourism and to start to think about regenerative wellness travel experiences. We know that we're seeing this in New Zealand at the moment, in Thailand, in Portugal, Italy, Spain, Greece. They're all starting to talk about this space more. The next trend is transformational travel. There's a group called the Transformational Travel Council of the Transformational Travel Council. I suggest you look them up on the web if you're not familiar. And they've done a lot of research into what makes a life-changing trip for a visitor. And applying these concepts to wellness travel is something that is really growing in demand. So how do you facilitate for the guest, and you can't do it for them, but how do you facilitate some of the things that help create life-changing trips that make the traveller return home different to when they were before they left? So they might have had such a great experience that it leads them to reflect on their lives, change their job, improve their well-being when they return, look at their relationships, anything. It's really that general transformation. And we know through the research of the Transformational Travel Council that a connection to nature, culture, stretching yourself out of your comfort zone, having intentions of your trip are all ways to help this shift. The fourth trend that we're seeing is wellness snacking. Now, this doesn't relate to food. We're talking about the length of the trip. Since we've all been adjusting the way we work, many people are able to work while they also take small breaks. And we're seeing that people are combining this work and wellness experience even more and having bite-sized breaks of wellness, shorter trips, little pieces of wellness, whether that's adding a massage, whether it's taking nature walks, whether it's spa experiences, but they're adding wellness to a little, snack bite-sized piece. The next trend, which I think needs no explanation, which is pretty much what your conference is all about, is medical welcoming wellness. And what we mean by this is that we've seen the merge of hospitals embracing more traditional wellness therapies and treatments. And on the other side, we've seen wellness retreats and offerings embrace more structured medical supports. The two areas that we think are really interesting and we're following closely is green prescriptions. And there's some clinical trials going on around the world in this space whereby doctors are prescribing nature-based treatments for mental and physical ailments. And I think this will continue to be something that is growing in popularity. The other huge area is immunity. So COVID obviously has made us all look at our well-being and our immunity. And the shift really here is going from quick fixes of immunity boosting. The consumer is really looking for ways to balance their immunity for longer term. So how do they look at their sleep, their diet, their exercise, and how do they improve it, but through some more advanced medical technology. So genetic testing is involved, looking at their microbiome and their gut, their metabolic health, and creating personalised nutrition and plans are all booming. The next trend that we see is wellness technology. This is huge. Our research that and something that I think Korea is probably at the forefront of in this space. So what we're seeing in the research that we did was 73% of the respondents had used some sort of wellbeing app during lockdown, and over half of those people were trialing something new in an app. And we saw that the most popular ones that people were using were things for mindfulness and mental well-being, but we also saw yoga and Pilates and spiritual apps and sound healing and running and jogging and walking apps. So lots going on there. But what we're really seeing now is that big technology is everywhere in the wellness space. If you're a streaming music provider, a TV provider, they are all creating huge amounts of content for consumers in the wellness space, and that is being very successful. The other area is a great boom in wearable technology, which is really fun. And again, I think Korea would be at the forefront of some of this work, delivering wellness content on your body so that it can check in with your own needs, and whether that's serving up music or sound or massage or whatever the kind of technology or content you're looking for, meditations. It's really been booming and a really exciting space to see it develop further. The next one we see is mental wellness in travel. So the mental wellness sector, or the mental wellness industry, was worth 190 billion before COVID and continues to be such a huge area. What we're seeing from a traveller's perspective is that there are specific programs for facilities and programs for mental well-being to deal with stress, trauma, depression, burnout, and these are programs that continue to really appeal to the customer. The next trend we're seeing is extreme or wild wellness and just breathing. And so again, I think this one is something perhaps Korea is quite familiar with in terms of hot and cold water treatments and the benefits. But what we're seeing are a lot of tours and trips being guided or facilitated out in the wilderness, where guests are plunging into cold mountain streams, doing off-grid experiences, so no luxury involved, just getting out in nature, plunging into that cold water and learning those breathing exercises to ensure that they keep that mental focus and resilience. Extremely popular at the moment. The next trend, which is probably one of my favourite ones, is embracing Indigenous and ancient wellness traditions. You would be in Korea all over this in terms of, being intrinsically part of your culture, but it's around how you share that with others and international visitors as that continues to grow. So consumers and travellers are really interested in the techniques and ancient traditions such as Ayurvedic traditions and medicine from Sri Lanka and India, traditional medicinal herbs and how that works for well-being, Aboriginal bush tucker and medicine that we see here in Australia, and the benefits of mineral bathing. So mineral and hot springs is really, really growing across the world, and something that Korea and Japan, I know, do extremely well. The 10th trend we're seeing is outdoor physical fitness is booming. So any sorts of programs that offer guests biking, hiking, running, nature tours, camps out in the wilderness, out in nature, has a strong visitor appeal at the moment. Another trend we're seeing is how animals are supporting wellness. So during COVID, pet purchasing and pet ownership went through the roof, skyrocketed. And what we're seeing is that Now the question remains, how do we bring more animals into wellness travel offerings? You may have heard of horse therapy, or equine therapy is very popular in some places for mindfulness and mental well-being. Goat yoga is another one that perhaps you've seen, where crazy goats jump around while you're doing yoga. I'm not sure if you have experienced that or not. I haven't yet, but I'm looking forward to trying it. But it's really about thinking about how the use of animals can lead to a greater wellness experience. And also, how can you bring your pets? I think this will be a big one, how to bring pets to wellness retreats in the future as well. Our final few that I wanted to mention around global trends was supporting local. As we've travelled more within our own countries, there's been a huge trend and interest and resurgence in looking at supporting local produce, understanding local provenance, supporting creators of whether it's food, spa offerings, facial products, whatever it is, arts and craft, anything that is being created locally is something that's really, really interesting to the wellness traveller. Another trend we're seeing is well events. So business events. Business events have dropped, as we know. 43% of people said that they would be reducing their number of corporate and business events that they were taking as a result of COVID, but there still is a kind of craving, as you would see today, to connect in person as well as digitally and create those networking opportunities. So bringing wellness into a conference or business event is something that will be growing in popularity. The Global Wellness Institute had bikes out during sessions when they had presenters on screen at their last conference, so that people could exercise while they were listening, creating mindful moments during the program as well. The final two trends I have for today is the growth in wellness communities. Wellness communities are residential locations that are dedicated with boosted facilities for health and well-being for those people that live there. This was already growing before COVID significantly, and these sorts of wellness communities are often mixed use, so they have a residential component and a hotel component built at the same time in separate areas. And this has really been an area that people are really drawn to, because the design principles are about greater space and more green spaces, as well as functional areas for more wellness and wellbeing supports. So something to think about how that continues to grow. And my final trend for today, which is probably one of my favourites, is the increase of biophilic design in wellness. Now, what we mean by this is, how do you bring nature from the outside in to some of the designs that are happening now for wellness travel experiences, whether that's at reception spaces, in rooms, in spa locations, in workout areas, in restaurants. How do you bring nature in from a physical as well as a sensory perspective is something that consumers are really being drawn to. So that wraps up my presentation today, and I hope it has been of value, and perhaps there's been a trend or a piece of insight here that you've found worthwhile for your business. If you'd like more information or have a question for me, I would love to hear from you. My email is sitting there on the screen now. Please drop me a note, or if you would like to know more about the Wellness Tourism Initiative that I chair, or you're interested in joining it, please reach out, as I'd love to hear from you. Thank you, and I hope the rest of your conference is productive, and I look forward to eventually returning to Korea and seeing you all in person again soon. Thank you so much.
네, 발표 감사합니다. 글로벌 웰니스 관광 트렌드 마지막 발표는 미국에서 왔다고 합니다. 코로나 이전과 이후의 아시아 웰니스 관광 동향을 주제로 SW 어소시에이트 스캇 웨인 회장님께서 발표 준비해주고 계시는데요. 영상으로 발표 청해 듣겠습니다.
Greetings from Washington, D.C. My name is Scott Wayne. I'm the president of SW Associates Sustainable Destination Services, and I am pleased to contribute to the Korea Wellness Tourism Conference of the Korea International Travel Expo 2021. For the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to do an overview of key tourism trends in the Asia region and Asian wellness tourism trends, and look beyond the impacts of COVID to perhaps some lessons learned and ways forward with wellness tourism as a key to recovery and restarting tourism throughout the region. This presentation will answer the question, why wellness tourism? Why is wellness tourism important? And then cover some of the key pre-COVID-19 global and Asia-Pacific tourism trends that have impacted the entire industry and the impact of COVID-19 on tourism demand, followed by an overview of wellness tourism as a solution for recovery and sustainability, and then an overview of Asian wellness tourism market, followed by case studies on India, Republic of Korea, Sri Lanka, and Thailand, and then close with some key policy recommendations and takeaways. Wellness tourism could be a faster path to post-COVID recovery and restart in many destinations, especially in Asia-Pacific region. Wellness tourism, there are lots of definitions, no truly universal definition, but it's generally travel and tourism for one's personal well-being, physical, mental, spiritual, or environmental wellness. The core message of wellness tourism really is that it emphasizes healthy life and living, and as destinations emerge from COVID, I think increased demand for healthy destinations could be expected. There's been more interest, more awareness of the importance of healthy living, of the importance of sustainability. So this bodes well for wellness tourism destinations, especially in Asia. Wellness tourism could be a fast track to post-COVID-19 recovery. And in so doing, it could be a model for other destinations to use wellness tourism as a way to get back on track with their tourism sectors. It could be a catalyst. And that's because this segment, more than any others, really emphasizes health, well-being, nature, and heritage. And it also tends to be a higher spending market. And most importantly, it emphasizes sustainability across the board. And it really could be a win-win-win for destinations, visitors, and businesses. Wellness tourism can also be an ideal way of achieving a lot of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. In fact, there's an aspect to all 17 goals that wellness tourism can be supportive and can help achieve these goals. And I won't go through every one of the 17, but goal number 3 in particular, to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for everybody of all ages, is something that wellness tourism can particularly help achieve. And wellness tourism not only contributes and strengthens the wellness of visitors, but it can also serve as an example of wellness and income generation for local residents. Before COVID-19 began impacting the world, and especially the travel and tourism sector, wellness tourism was very much on a fast track of growth, having generated $639 billion in GDP, almost 18 million jobs worldwide, 2017, and 6.5% growth annually in GDP impact. And from 2017 to 2022, the estimate was 7.5% growth annually to more than $900 billion by 2022. The growth of wellness tourism pre-COVID was very much in line with global tourism trends and the fast-paced growth globally. The World Tourism Organization and the World Travel and Tourism Council estimated that up to the end of 2019, the total economic impact of tourism was almost $9 trillion. And this is generated by as many as 1.5 billion international tourists in 2019, and generating more than 1 in 10 of the world's jobs, so 10.6% of global employment. This rate of international arrivals was averaging 4 to 6% annual growth globally. More than 50% of the market was for leisure as of 2018, and for 2019, that was not expected to be any different. And some of the key market trends, the key interests of international visitors, international tourists, healthy and ethical living was high on the list. Connected consumers, shopping. These were trends that were especially noted by Euromonitor in a recent Euromonitor report. The drivers of demand for travel and tourism included some segments like adventure, cultural, culinary, and wellness, all more or less under an umbrella of what you could call experiential travel, where people were looking for more authentic experiences, less of a sort of fabricated tourism, although the theme park segment in international travel and tourism was also a fast-growing part of the picture. Accommodations have generated up at least $525 billion, and chain hotels such as Marriott, Hilton, etc., account for more than 50% of accommodations revenue. Transportation, airlines account for $256 billion in revenue. The cruise segment, with 28.5 million passengers as of 2018, was growing at 6.7% annually. As everyone knows, the impact of COVID-19 on the world, on populations, on the travel and tourism industry was severe and is still being experienced globally. To date, over 175 million cases of COVID have been recorded, and 3.8 million deaths in nearly every country but 13 small countries and 2 territories. Still, international travel is mostly highly restricted, especially in APAC countries, with some openings slated by the time this presentation is delivered in mid-July. Phuket is expected, or perhaps most of Thailand is expected to be reopened. South Korea is expected to reopen with exempting certain nationalities of the quarantine requirement. Similar loosening of requirements is expected throughout the region, but it's been highly volatile, highly unpredictable as to whether this will continue. As vaccinations continue, it's expected that this will increase. The estimates of losses vary, but generally the UN World Tourism Organization, WTTC, are estimating at least 5 years of lost revenue, lost arrivals. In other words, it will require about 5 years to return to perhaps the 2019 levels of international arrivals. Receipts, perhaps as much as $1 trillion in lost receipts. Estimates vary in terms of recovery because every country is going to be different based on their vaccination levels and testing facilities, and whether there are bubbles set up between countries, but it could be anywhere from 10 to 35 months. At least 75 million jobs have been lost, but as the industry restarts, those jobs can be quickly recovered. For 2020, at least international arrivals were down at least 73%. as you see in this chart. It was the largest drop in international tourism since the year 2000, and perhaps as long as these statistics have been collected. Now let's turn to Asia-Pacific tourism trends. As with global tourism overall and wellness tourism, Asia-Pacific tourism was also rapidly increasing. In fact, over the past decades, international arrivals increased more than 75%. As of 2019, the total for the region was 364 million international tourist arrivals. And that's just the international, and that does not include the rapidly increasing domestic markets in countries such as Asia, China, Indonesia, and several others. Receipts just from 2017 to 2018 grew by 12%, again, just for the international. And more than 1 in 10 jobs are generated by travel and tourism in the Pacific region. Before COVID, China was very much the driving force for global and regional tourism. As an international tourist destination, China ranked number 4, the 4th most visited destination country on the planet, with 65.7 million international tourist arrivals in 2019. By this point, they had also become the number 1 outbound market generator and spender, with at least 158 million outbound travelers as of 2018. And in 2019, outbound Chinese travelers are spending $254.6 billion outside China on travel and tourism spending. Given the fast growth of international tourism pre-COVID, in Asia Pacific, it's not surprising that the region was one of the worst affected by COVID on international travel and tourism, and to some extent domestic. WTTC estimates that at least 34 million jobs were lost in the region. UNWTO estimates arrivals were down by about 84% in 2020 compared with 2019. And receipts down by 70%, which amounts to at least $300 billion in 2020. Those losses, those decreases continued to well into June 2021 and are expected to slow down some over the next months. But it is all a function of vaccination levels and how quickly countries can recover some of their key generating markets. Prior to COVID-19, the Asian wellness tourism market was one of the fastest growing and largest markets globally. And it's not surprising that wellness tourism would be popular in Asia, both as an offer and also within each of the countries. Since historically, these societies have emphasized the mind-body connections, such as traditional medicine in China and the Republic of Korea, Tai Chi in China, Hindu meditation, Ayurveda in India, and spiritualism, nature, and Buddhism. It was really just scratching the surface in terms of the attraction of the wellness tourism market. And some of the top destinations attracting and offering wellness tourism included China, India, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, Indonesia, South Korea, Australia, and the Philippines. A very important offer for all of these markets. From 2015 to 2017, China alone increased their number of wellness trips by about 22 million, and India followed with an increase of about 17 million wellness trips. Travelers to and within Asia accounted for more than $136 billion of total wellness tourism spending.
and that was growing at nearly 11% annually just within those within that time frame. So, and that continued into 2018, it's believed, and into 2019, but the data was not available.
Now I'd like to introduce some brief case studies of key generating markets for wellness tourism, where wellness was becoming a key segment or was already a key segment. India, Republic of Korea, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. India was, prior to COVID, South Asia's largest destination. As of the end of 2019, the country had received almost 18 million international visitors. Much of that could be attributed to wellness tourism market, which was estimated to have been growing 22% annually. And not surprising, since some of the offers of India were becoming popular globally: meditation, yoga, Ayurveda, and throughout the country, a number of wellness-related associations had been formed to cater to this interest, to encourage the growth of the wellness sector in general and wellness travel and tourism. The Indian government had formed a National Medical and Wellness Tourism Promotion Board to especially focus on the development of wellness and medical tourism related products and services, and to help with marketing those products and services domestically and internationally. All this contributed to India becoming a prominent, fast-growing wellness tourism destination. Nationally and internationally, wellness tourism was part of broader marketing initiatives such as Incredible India and the Atithi Devo Bhava campaign, which was encouraging high-level, high-quality guest service, and it led to an emphasis on wellness, travel, and tourism. In the Republic of Korea, pre-COVID, the Korean Tourism Organization was marketing 25 must-visit wellness destinations throughout the country. And with COVID, this campaign appears to have been put on hold, as with the tourism offers of nearly every country in the region. And that campaign had dated from 2017, where they focused on 4 categories of wellness destinations: nature, forest, beauty, spas, healing and meditation, and Asian medicine. As many as 51 destinations had been identified among these 4 categories. So it was becoming a popular offer. Based on what's being offered as of June, this is not prominently visible, but the base is there for a restart. And as of July 2021, it appears that the government will be removing the quarantine requirement for most inbound visitors, which will probably help jumpstart and restart much of tourism, international tourism in the country, including wellness tourism offers.
Sri Lanka has also been an important wellness tourism destination. From 2010 to 2018, their arrivals increased from 654,000 to 2.3 million. And in 2018, they generated $4.4 billion. Sri Lanka is especially known for traditional Ayurvedic resorts, hotels, and spas, and a number of wellness packages are offered through the Sri Lanka tourism, through the government and Sri Lanka tourism authorities. The government developed a wellness tourism strategy in 2018. It's part of their national export strategy, and it includes various economic incentives and simplified project approval procedures to fast track wellness tourism projects. And this map shows some of the key wellness tourism destinations around Sri Lanka. Thailand also takes wellness tourism very seriously. One of the fastest growing destinations in the region, the 9th most visited destination globally, 13th most popular wellness tourism destination, and generating 12.5 million arrivals just for the wellness segment. The Tourism Authority of Thailand promotes 41 spa and wellness resorts, and in 2014 they developed a marketing strategy for more than 30 health, beauty, and spa providers, and their initiative Find Your Fabulous has been successful in boosting the wellness segment.
As the world moves past COVID, and especially the travel and tourism world, and destinations begin to find solutions to reopening, restarting, recovery, the top of the list really has to be vaccination. Very important. That should be not a surprise to anyone. And to achieve this requires, of course, public information campaigns that more and more people in each APAC country are getting vaccinated. And with that, proactive marketing and promotion, coupled with virtual tours, which a number of countries have been offering, and I think with a certain degree of effectiveness, both to generate a bit of revenue for local providers, but also to maintain a sense of marketing, international marketing, and sharing what each country has to offer. Wellness tourism has been somewhat part of this picture, but it is a little bit more difficult, although there are offers such as meditation sessions, yoga sessions from a number of countries that connect with the wellness tourism segment. Financial relief is high on the list for wellness tourism providers and other product segments. Many countries have started creating and implementing COVID-19 recovery and restart strategies to reconnect their countries with key generating markets. And as part of that, a focus on wellness tourism will prove to be advantageous, since it reinforces and promotes high quality aspects of tourism, taps the growing interest in sustainability, in quality tourism, in community tourism. Wellness tourism is very rich in these types of tourism offers, and thus could be very much a key to restart and recovery.
Longer term recommendation is to adjust wellness tourism and overall strategies based on these rapid assessments, adjust them in light of the crisis. Wellness tourism should be made an integral part of these adjusted strategies. As I mentioned, it can be a faster track to recovery, and more emphasis on international standards through national certification, and an expansion of hazard analysis critical control point systems, which aim for maximum hygiene, sanitation conditions.
Some key takeaways to end this presentation. As we've seen over the last year and a half plus, COVID-19 has impacted every sector, every part of travel and tourism, every part of countries' economies. Wellness tourism could offer a possible model for other tourism segments as really a fast track antidote to recovery, fast track solution to recovery. It was, prior to COVID, a significant driver of Asia Pacific arrivals and receipts, and it's well positioned post COVID to help countries, help destinations return to sustainable growth and to an expansion of what were very popular, fast-growing set of segments in tourism. Some final key takeaways. Those destinations with strategies and plans with a wellness tourism component will, of course, be the best positioned to leverage and further develop their wellness tourism segment as keys to recovery, as keys to restarting their tourism segments overall. The APEC countries featured in this presentation and others all offer helpful examples for strategic action. China was the #1 market in terms of outbound, inbound tourism. Inbound, one of the number 4 markets, but #1 spender globally, and could return with wellness receipts worth as much as $32 billion that were generated from more than 70 million wellness-related trips. And that's a number that could increase even further and increase throughout the region, since it's a popular segment, not only for international visitors to APEC, but also within each of the countries featured in this presentation and most of the other countries of the APEC region. Thank you very much.
네, 발표 감사드립니다. 이렇게 해외에 계신 분의 발표를 영상으로 함께 만나봤는데요. 글로벌 의료, 웰니스, 관광 트렌드에 대해서 알아볼 수 있는 유익한 시간이었습니다. 이렇게 해서 오늘 준비된 컨퍼런스는 모두 마무리됐습니다. 해외에서 영상으로 발표에 수고해주신 모든 발표자분들께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 오늘 컨퍼런스를 위해 온라인으로 현재 시청해주고 계신 여러분들께도 감사 말씀드립니다. 내일 같은 시간에 국내 신규 5대 의료 관광에 대해서도 컨퍼런스가 진행될 예정입니다. 저는 내일 이 자리에서 다시 인사드리도록 하겠습니다. 지금까지 아나운서 원현정이었습니다. 고맙습니다.
Once you make a decision, there's no room for regret. Keep your eye on the goal and work together towards success. In this mist, we are together as one. This is why I chose Daejeon as the host city for a successful international conference.
Pioneering South Korea's science sector and bringing the future one step closer. Daejeon. A place full of human resource talent and infrastructural support that will yield my successes. This is the reason why I chose Daejeon as the host city for a successful international conference.
A city offering special moments and entertainment that can't be found anywhere else on earth. Daejeon. For the unbridled passion residing inside me, I use this passion to excel and enjoy the exhilarating moments that will help me grow. This is why I choose Daejeon.